Hello friends, I hope you are doing well. Today we're going to finish up that painting that we started last time that was inspired by the Bob Ross painting, A Walk in the Woods. I want to address the sky a little, maybe put some clouds peeking over the horizon, just so that we get a better sense of distance and make that sky a little more interesting. And then we'll break up some of the monotony of the rocks in the foreground, darken around the edges of the painting to bring more attention to the brightness just over the hill. So, if you end up liking this video, go ahead and subscribe and give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who you think might benefit from these fundamentals. If you have a question about something specific, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to address it. I'm Kendall Stump, and welcome to the Stump Project. All right, let's jump right in. So today we're going to add a little bit more to this painting. What I want to do is I want to add a little bit of interest to the sky. So I'm going to put in some pinky clouds right along the horizon here, just to kind of brighten it up, maybe closer to the bottom of the sky or the horizon area. So we'll lighten that up. And I want to darken some of this edges right here. Break up. This is what I was talking about, the monotony of the rocks. It just feels like it's very, very repetitive. So I want to darken this area here. Maybe add a little bit more foliage as we get across here. We'll talk a little bit about form and shape and how light acts with that. There should be some additional shadows here, assuming that the light source is here, kind of coming this way. It should cast some additional shadows, so we'll darken that up with some glazing. Put a little bit of foreground material here in the corners, maybe some grassy or some bushes or some other stuff coming up here, and we'll go over a little bit of a technique for that. So let's start with the colors. We have Van Dyke Brown, Payne's Gray, Titanium White, and the smallest amount of alizarin crimson. This is very powerful, and like I said, I just want it to be very, very pinky. I don't want it to be light red or anything like that. Here I've got a little puddle of odorless mineral spirits and linseed oil that I'll use to thin my glaze. I won't thin this at all. I want this to go on straight. But what I did do to start off this whole thing, I put a layer of this stuff, liquid, on the canvas. And the reason why I did that, for two reasons. One is to make it slick, and I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to put all of the glazings and everything. I wanted to have a nice slick surface to work with. So I went ahead and put a nice thin coat of liquid over the entire canvas, just to give me the freedom to put paint where I wanted to. And then of course the liquid helps things dry a bit faster. So that's really, really helpful, especially when you're glazing. You don't want to have to wait a week to come back and to apply another layer if you don't have to. So I applied a layer of liquid. We're going to do the clouds first. So I'm going to go right into just the tiniest bit. You see right there on my brush, just a little bit of alizarin crimson, and apply it to this titanium white. And I just want an ever so slight pinky hue. I want it to be primarily white. I had some leftover liquid on my palette. I'm just going to go ahead and mix it in here. This is just going to help the titanium white and the alizarin crimson dry a little bit faster. Titanium white dries really slow, and alizarin crimson dries even slower. So where I want to put this is essentially just right along here. So we'll just, I'm working on the upper edge, and it's going to let my paintbrush just dance across here. Now you see I painted over a little bit, and that's fine, and we're going to come to that and fix that up, and it's part of the process. And I'm just working on the upper edge at this point. the upper edge of the clouds, just like that. Now what I want to happen is I want this to fall off. So you can use rubber gloves if you like. These paints are non-toxic. I'm just going to use my finger and just blend it. And just let it kind of gradiate down. Get some really nice effects. Wipe your finger off every now and again. You don't want to spread too much paint around. You want to keep control over how the paint is being moved. You get some nice effects, and you maintain control. Some paints, you want to be cautious in doing this. Some paints are toxic. So the cadmium family, for example, toxic. Cobalt family, toxic. You don't want this to come into contact with your skin for a prolonged period of time with those paints. Do a little bit of research beforehand, before you start doing this. It's always safer to use skin protection if you have any doubts whatsoever. So I just have a paper towel. And some of the stuff that we covered up, I'm just going to wipe off. Now, before you can do this, I should have prefaced this, your painting needs to be bone dry. So that was another thing. Last time, before we made this, I put a layer of liquid down here, and then I used this stuff, liquid white, for the sky and a little bit here in the water. What that did was it allowed some of the paint to lighten and blend and mix on the canvas, so I wouldn't have to worry about mixing it on the palette. It worked beautifully. The problem is liquid white dries super slow. So my hope was that the liquid would help increase or help decrease the drying time, increase the speed at which it dries, and it did. So without using liquid, something like this might have taken 6 weeks to dry. Using liquid, it took less than a week and it was ready to go. So I was really happy with that, and maybe I will use liquid white more. It's going to make me not shy away from it for sure. So what I'm doing now is I'm just using my paper towel and just lightly removing the paint that I don't want. So if some of this stuff is too far covered up with clouds, when you apply this white or any kind of in color to the background, is going to push it back. These were already pushed back a pretty good amount, so I was pretty happy with that. So I didn't want to disturb that too much. So we'll just try and keep this as clear as we can, and just give it a nice little rub. You don't have to rub too hard. There, and you can see that brightened up that horizon line pretty well. And give us some really nice effects to the clouds that let the clouds kind of blend in with the sky, really showing them off in the distance. Because like I said, the further things are in the background, the more they're going to take on the color of the environment. So you see how this yellow is shining through these clouds right here. Well, it's just because they're so far back, and the shadow would become more this color. So just how it's portrayed right here. So I'm pretty happy with how that's turned out. So that's good. And if there's any places you wanted to soften this, I'm just going to use a small brush for this one, but this is a 1-inch brush. It's from the Bob Ross collection. Super soft, natural bristle brush. You can just take it and just fluff up some of these clouds. I'm not going to do all of them, I don't think. Maybe, depends on. You want to keep some of the edge, because the defined edge helps to define the shape of the cloud. But this, I think, I'm going to leave some. I'm going to leave, would be like the focal point or the point of interest. So I'll leave that more defined, and the stuff along the outskirts here will fluff up a little bit and soften. So that kind of brings the interest, brings your focus right into that area right there. So again, I did not fluff that area, but I fluffed the rest of these just a little bit, just a tiny bit. You can see in my brush, there's just a tiniest bit of paint on there. So we didn't hardly touch the canvas at all. So I like that. I like how that looks. We brightened up the horizon and made a little bit more emphasis to some of the trees there on the horizon so they don't blend in so much with the background. A little bit of contrast is always good. So now I'm going to use a little bit whiter brush. This is a number 12 from the Rosemary & Co. It's from the Evergreen collection. I'm going to mix some of my linseed oil and odorless mineral spirits in with a bit of my Van Dyke Brown, just a hint of Payne's Gray, just to darken it up. I want a nice deep, it's going to be a shadow color. And I want it thin. You see that transparency? Glazes are meant to be transparent. When you use a glaze and you put it over your painting, it's going to darken the painting. So even if you're using a light color glaze, say Indian yellow, for example, which is quite transparent, you start putting layers and layers and layers over it, it becomes more and more dark, more dark and more opaque. So you just keep that in mind. So I'm going to just apply this. Where I want to darken some of this up, and then we'll blend it out. I'm just going to take a paper towel. Now up here, this was a bunch of texture, so I'm just going to dab, just like I did before when I initially put this texture on here, because I want it to continue to try to maintain that look. I just want to darken it up a little bit. I've got some glare on the canvas right there. Let me see if I can adjust my light so maybe you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, now you can see a little bit better. And I can too. So we're just going to put you don't get it too thin. Depending on what you want to use it for, really. You can see right here, I just put that glaze over it and just kind of drop that into shadow and let it fall off really nice. And then we can dab out the brush marks, blend out what you might not want. Dab the edges. There we go. So now this gets darker as it gets more into the foreground. And then I'm just dabbing for the transition. Okay, now we can do the same thing with the other side. I want to darken some of this stuff over here that's going to be in shadow. And if you can, mock this stuff up first so you don't go in it completely blind. Give yourself an opportunity to explore. And what I mean by mocking it up, you can take a photo of it. I use my iPad and a free app called Procreate, and it lets me go ahead and just start painting digitally on top of this. to explore it and just kind of see what I think might work or benefit for a little bit of a retouch. Softening the edges, blending it in with a little bit of that texture, trying to get rid of some of those brush strokes that may have gotten applied. There. If I just go into my Van Dyke Brown and just put in just some paint straight out of the tube, some of these areas. You don't have to dilute it. You do want to feather the brush strokes though, or at the very least blend them in some fashion. The amount of solution that you use to dilute your glaze, it ultimately depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to cover up more, you can leave it thicker. If you're wanting to just tint, just then thin it out and apply it in layers. Yeah, just blend that out. Good. So you see how that darkened the edges, and it brings the focus more here towards the center. So now we talk about form in regards to light. You want to keep in mind, if you think that the light source is right back here and it's shining this way, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to be a flatly lit. If this is coming down a hill like this, then as soon as something starts going down in the geometry of the landscape, it's going to make it harder for the light to hit. So it's something that we have to keep in mind. So you see the top of the hill right there, maybe it's going to get hit by that, but then as that hill dips down, maybe it falls into shadow a little bit more. So wherever those breaks may be, and if it's coming this way, maybe these things, maybe this brush and shrubbery, maybe that's in shadow too, and it's casting. You can tell these stories in your mind, and then maybe it's casting a little bit more of a shadow through here. And even if we wanted to darken that up, we can, even some of the highlights. Once you've applied what you wanted to apply, just take a bit of your towel and just blend it. Wipe off what you don't want, because it'll come off, see? Soften the edges where you want to, leave the paint where you want to. There, you see we added some visual interest to that path, that walkway. We pushed down some of the things like here in this dark area. We pushed it down because the light's not hitting it. So let the light hit the top of that, and then there's a shadow here where it's being cast from this little dip, and then it hits the top again. And there's a little bit of a crack in the walkway, hits the light. Some shadow here where maybe it's being cast from this bush being cast down here. Form and shadow. It matters when you're trying to apply lights to a light source. And it doesn't matter if you're trying to change the light source. Maybe you're working from a photograph and your photograph shows a light source on this side, but you want to change it so that the light's coming from this direction, so maybe it's hitting here. Well, just remember, this isn't going to be evenly lit, and the shadows are not going to be random. The shadows are going to be based on the surrounding geometry. So just keep that in mind, and just don't flatly light something unless it's got direct contact with a light source. So I guess that being said, we can assume that these bushes here, this foliage here is going to be falling on some of this. So I'm just touching a little bit of that. And then just dabbing it just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of texture. Just to kind of break that up, just to kind of make the shadows fall where maybe it makes more sense for them to fall. Okay, then the last thing that I wanted to do, I'm going to go into what's left of my odorless mineral spirits and linseed oil. And I'm going to really load my brush up with some of the Payne's Gray and Van Dyke Brown. And I want to come right in here. I'm going to put down some color. And let the brush, use the brush for some texture. You see that? Just push the bristles right up against there. So I have it on that side. I may need to get some more paint. And I want to come into this side. Well, it's going to break. You see the water line right there? Let's break that a little bit. Okay, some of that there. And I put this on a little thick. The reason why is because a couple things that I want to do. Okay, the first thing that I want to do is go ahead and add some texture to this. So just go in and dab. I want to leave the bottom part relatively thick because I want it to stay dark. And then you dab a little bit. When you saturate your towel, go ahead and change it. Go ahead and come back in and remove a little bit more paint. And your towel is saturated. Find a clean spot. When your towel is saturated, find a clean spot. Like so. Okay, so that's step one. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my towel and I'm going to apply some grass, some like tall grasses. So take your towel and twist it into a nice long taper, because we're going to use it like a whip. Get it nice and tight. Now the paint that's on here is relatively loose because we diluted it. We thinned it out. So we're just going to aggressively strike the canvas. And then what that's going to do is going to remove some paint, but as you can see, you've got paint on your whip now, and it's going to transplant it other places. So it's going to send some grass pieces floating around here and there. a little bit of a technique to it, and once you get it figured out and what feels right to you, it'll work. It'll be all right. I don't like what's going on right there, so I'm going to just take my towel, dipping it in my paint a little bit, and I'm going to just dab some more texture on there. Don't like that either. There, just apply some more paint. Get rid of some of the brush strokes. Get a little whip. Add some additional texture with the brush. Remember keeping it a bit darker to the bottom. And you can see how much of a difference that little bit made. We came up into the trees. We darkened up some of the shadow, made darker spots along the sides to kind of let the painting not capture the eye of the viewer and keep it centralized, keep it here. If the eye starts to wander off here too much, we want to be able to bring them back. So there's a lot of things that go on to do that, like the angle of the tree line. We'll bring it back in here and here. The brightness or the values is darker along the edges and is brighter in here. So again, that's something else to help draw the eye back in. And you can fiddle with your paintings to your heart's content. Really, try not to over fiddle. You can end up really messing up some stuff that you enjoyed. And you can put layers and layers and layers of glazes on some of this. Some of the old masters really did. They can put as many as like 50 or 60 layers of glaze on some of their work, and it really brings out the depth in what they were trying to capture. So I encourage you to practice that, to give it a try, see if you like it. Maybe glazing's not for you, maybe it is. It's just another tool that you can use as an artist to help bring your paintings to life. Okay, I hope you enjoyed everything we went over and that you use this information to create something awesome in your own style. You can find inspiration anywhere. Don't be afraid to look. Remember to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and check out my other videos. Leave a comment if you have a question, some feedback, or you want to see something specific. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you next time.